Returning home for spring break, I decided to pick up some extra cash by mowing lawns. It was a routine I'd fallen into over the past few years, working for an elderly woman whose yard always demanded attention. As I pulled up to her house, I prepared myself for another day of trimming hedges and pushing the mower across the grass. The sun was shining brightly, casting long shadows across the neatly manicured lawn. With a sense of familiarity, I grabbed the tools from my trunk and set to work, the rhythmic sound of the lawnmower filling the air. But something felt off this time, a subtle unease creeping up my spine. I glanced towards the backyard and spotted two children standing there, their presence sending a shiver down my spine. They seemed out of place, like characters from a horror movie, their gazes fixed on me with an intensity that made me uneasy. One of them, a boy, approached me timidly, asking for a drink of water in a polite yet unnerving tone. His voice was soft, but there was something about it that set me on edge. Ignoring the feeling of discomfort gnawing at me, I agreed and headed towards the house to fetch some water. As I filled a glass, an inexplicable sense of dread washed over me. The air seemed heavy with tension, as if something ominous lurked just beyond my sight. With trembling hands, I carried the water back to the boy, who accepted it with a grateful smile. But as he drank, his eyes bore into mine, revealing a darkness that chilled me to the core. Hastily averting my gaze, I returned to my task, the feeling of being watched lingering at the back of my mind. Were these children even supposed to be here? With each pass of the mower, my unease only grew. What if these children weren't what they seemed? What if behind this facade of normalcy lay something far more sinister? As I pondered these questions, a sense of foreboding settled over me, casting a shadow over what should have been a routine day's work. Little did I know, this encounter was just the beginning of a descent into a nightmare from which there might be no escape. As I continued my work in the yard, the unsettling encounter with the children weighed heavily on my mind. Their presence seemed to taint the air around me, casting a pall over the otherwise peaceful suburban neighborhood. With each moment that passed, my unease deepened, a sense of impending doom looming over me like a dark cloud. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The normalcy of my surroundings felt like a thin veneer, ready to crack at any moment and reveal the horrors lurking beneath. But try as I might, I couldn't pinpoint exactly what it was that had set me on edge. Lost in my thoughts, I barely noticed when the elderly woman who owned the house stepped out onto the porch. Her voice jolted me back to reality, and I turned to face her, trying to mask the fear that gripped me. "Is everything all right, dear?" she asked, her tone gentle but tinged with concern. I hesitated, unsure of how to voice my suspicions without sounding completely unhinged. But something in her gaze told me that she sensed the same undercurrent of unease that I did. I saw some children in the backyard, I began hesitantly. But something about them, it just didn't feel right. To my surprise, the woman's expression darkened, a shadow passing over her features. "You saw them too?" she murmured, more to herself than to me. I frowned, my confusion deepening. "You mean, you know those children?" She nodded gravely. "They used to live here, a long time ago. But they're not. They're not supposed to be here anymore." Her words sent a chill down my spine, confirming my worst fears. Whatever those children were, they were not of this world. But before I could voice my concerns, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the air, freezing me in place. Without a word, the woman turned and hurried back into the house, leaving me alone in the yard, my heart pounding in my chest. With a sense of growing dread, I followed her inside, steeling myself for whatever horrors awaited me within. Little did I know, the true nature of the nightmare had only just begun to reveal itself, and what lay ahead would test the limits of my courage and sanity. Entering the house, I was met with an oppressive silence that seemed to suffocate me. The once familiar surroundings now felt alien and foreboding, every creak of the floorboards echoing like a death knell in the stillness. "Mrs. Thompson?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. There was no response, only the eerie quiet that seemed to swallow my words whole. Heart pounding, I ventured further into the house, my senses on high alert. Every shadow seemed to pulse with malevolent energy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Then, from the darkness ahead, I heard it, a soft, plaintive whimper that sent a shiver down my spine. Following the sound, I found myself in a dimly lit hallway, the walls closing in around me like the bars of a prison cell. With each step I took, the air grew heavier, as if laden with the weight of untold secrets. And then, just as I rounded the corner, I saw her, a figure huddled in the darkness, her back pressed against the wall. "Mrs. Thompson?" I called out again, my voice trembling with fear. But the figure didn't move, didn't even acknowledge my presence. Heart pounding, I approached slowly, my footsteps echoing in the silence. As I drew closer, I could see the woman's face, twisted in terror, her eyes wide with horror. And then I saw it, the source of her fear, a shadowy figure lurking just beyond the reach of the dim light, its form shifting and writhing like smoke in the wind. Panic surged through me, threatening to consume me whole. I wanted to run, to flee from this nightmare and never look back. But something held me rooted to the spot, some primal instinct that urged me to stand my ground. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward, my hands trembling at my sides. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice barely more than a whisper. But the figure only laughed, a hollow, mocking sound that sent a chill down my spine. And then, in a voice like ice, it spoke. "We are the shadows that haunt your dreams," it whispered, its words slithering through the air like serpents. "We are the darkness that lurks in the depths of your soul." And with that, it lunged forward, its form twisting and contorting as it reached out for me with clawed hands. With a scream, I turned and ran, my heart pounding in my chest. But no matter how fast I ran, the darkness seemed to follow, its cold embrace closing in around me like a vice. Trapped in this nightmare, I knew that escape was impossible. All I could do was pray for the dawn to come and banish the shadows once and for all. But deep down, I feared that this darkness would never truly be defeated, that it would continue to haunt me for all eternity. As I fled from the shadowy figure, the darkness seemed to swallow me whole, enveloping me in its suffocating embrace. Every breath felt like a struggle, every step weighed down by the weight of my fear. I stumbled blindly through the labyrinthine corridors of the house, my mind consumed by panic. But no matter which way I turned, I found myself confronted by the same oppressive darkness, twisting and writhing like a living thing. With each passing moment, the line between reality and nightmare blurred, and I began to question my sanity. Was any of this real, or was it all just a figment of my imagination, a trick of the mind brought on by fear and exhaustion? Desperate for escape, I pressed on, my footsteps echoing in the empty halls like a dirge for the living. But no matter how fast I ran, the darkness seemed to close in around me, its tendrils reaching out to drag me down into the depths of despair. And then, just when I thought I could take no more, I stumbled upon a door that seemed to pulse with otherworldly energy, beckoning me forward with a siren's call. With trembling hands, I reached out and pushed open the door, revealing a scene straight from my worst nightmares. Before me stretched a vast expanse of darkness, punctuated only by the faint glow of distant stars. But it was not the emptiness of space that filled me with dread. It was the presence that lurked within it, a malevolent force that seemed to feed on my fear. As I gazed into the abyss, I felt something stirred deep within me, a primal instinct that urged me to flee, to run as far and as fast as I could. But I knew that there was no escape from this darkness, no refuge from the horrors that awaited me. With a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach, I realized that I had descended into madness, that the shadows had claimed me as one of their own. And as I surrendered myself to the abyss, I knew that I would never again see the light of day. Lost in the abyss, I felt myself slipping further and further into the depths of despair. The darkness closed in around me like a vice, squeezing the life out of me with every passing moment. But just when I thought all hope was lost, a glimmer of light appeared on the horizon, a beacon of hope in the endless night. With renewed determination, I reached out toward the light, letting its warmth wash over me like a balm for my weary soul. As I drew closer, I realized that the light was not just a figment of my imagination. It was real, tangible, a guiding star during the darkness. With each step I took, the light grew brighter, illuminating the path ahead and banishing the shadows that had threatened to consume me. As I emerged from the depths of despair, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, filling me with a newfound sense of purpose. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I felt truly alive, my spirit unbound by the chains of fear and doubt. And as I basked in the glow of the light, I knew that I had emerged from the darkness stronger and wiser than before. But even as I reveled in my newfound freedom, I knew that the shadows would always be lurking just beyond the edge of the light, waiting for the opportunity to reclaim me as their own. And so, with a resolve as strong as steel, I vowed to never again let the darkness consume me, to always hold fast to the light, no matter how faint it may seem. As I stepped out into the world once more, I knew that I was ready to face whatever trials and tribulations lay ahead, armed with the knowledge that even in the darkest of times, there is always a light to guide the way. Armed with newfound courage, I ventured forth from the abyss, determined to confront the shadows that had haunted me for so long. With each step, I felt the weight of my fears lifting, replaced by a sense of purpose that burned bright within me. As I emerged into the world once more, I found myself standing before the very house that had been the source of my nightmares. But instead of feeling the familiar chill of dread, I felt a sense of calm wash over me, a quiet confidence that whispered of victory. With steady resolve, I approached the front door, my hand reaching out to grasp the handle. But before I could turn it, a voice called out from behind me, a voice filled with malice and contempt. "You thought you could escape us, mortal?" it hissed, sending a shiver down my spine. Turning slowly, I found myself face to face with the shadowy figure that had haunted my dreams, a being of darkness and despair, its form shifting and twisting like smoke in the wind. But this time, I did not cower in fear. This time, I stood tall, my gaze unwavering as I faced my greatest foe. "I may not be able to defeat you," I said, my voice steady despite the fear that threatened to consume me, "but I will not let you control me any longer. I am stronger than you realize, and I will not be bound by the chains of darkness." With a roar of anger, the shadow lunged forward, its claws reaching out to ensnare me in their grasp. But I was ready. I had faced my fears and emerged victorious, and nothing could stand in the way of my newfound freedom. With a swift motion, I dodged the shadow's attack, striking out with a force born of desperation and determination. And as my blow landed true, the shadow let out a wail of agony, its form dissipating into nothingness before my eyes. For a moment there was silence, a silence broken only by the sound of my ragged breaths. And then, slowly but surely, the darkness began to recede, driven back by the light of my newfound strength. As I stood before the house bathed in the glow of the setting sun, I knew that the battle was far from over. The shadows would always be lurking just beyond the edge of the light, waiting for the opportunity to reclaim me as their own. But this time, I was ready. This time, I would not let them win, for I had faced my fears and emerged victorious, and nothing could ever take that away from me. With the shadows banished and the darkness receding, I stood before the house, feeling the weight of my ordeal lift from my shoulders. The air seemed lighter, the world brighter, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from my soul. But even as I basked in the warmth of the setting sun, I knew that my journey was far from over. The scars of my ordeal ran deep, and I knew that I would carry them with me always. But now they served as a reminder of the strength that lay within me, a strength that I had never known existed until now. As I turned away from the house, I felt a sense of liberation wash over me, a freedom born of facing my fears head-on and emerging victorious. And as I walked away, leaving the shadows behind me, I knew that I was leaving behind more than just a haunted house. I was leaving behind the person I used to be. For in the darkness I had found the light, a light that burned bright within me, guiding me through even the darkest of times. And as I embraced that light, I knew that I would never again be consumed by the shadows that had once threatened to consume me. With each step I took, I felt a sense of purpose coursing through my veins, a sense of belonging that I had never known before. And as I looked towards the horizon, I knew that my journey was just beginning. For I was no longer a prisoner of fear. I was a warrior of light, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and determination. As I walked into the unknown, I did so with my head held high, knowing that no matter what trials awaited me, I would always have the light to guide me home. With the shadows of the past finally behind me, I embarked on the journey of rebuilding my life. Each day brought new challenges, but with the strength I had gained from overcoming my darkest fears, I faced them head-on, undeterred by the obstacles in my path. As I returned to college after the spring break, I found myself approaching each class with a newfound sense of purpose. The once daunting assignments and exams now seemed manageable, their weight no match for the resilience I had developed in the face of true adversity. But it wasn't just my academic life that saw a transformation. It was every aspect of my existence. I found myself reaching out to friends old and new, eager to reconnect with the world outside the confines of my fears. Together we laughed and joked, sharing stories and creating memories that would last a lifetime. As we navigated the ups and downs of college life, I found solace in the bonds of friendship, knowing that I was never truly alone. But amidst the laughter and camaraderie, there were moments of doubt. Moments when the memories of my ordeal threatened to pull me back into the darkness from which I had emerged. In those moments, I turned to the lessons I had learned, drawing strength from the knowledge that I was stronger than the shadows that had once haunted me. And as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, I found myself slowly but surely returning to a sense of normalcy. The nightmares that had plagued me for so long began to fade, replaced by dreams of a future filled with hope and possibility. But even as I moved forward, I knew that the scars of my past would always be a part of me, a reminder of the journey I had undertaken and the battles I had fought. And though I may never fully escape the shadows that had once threatened to consume me, I took comfort in the knowledge that I was no longer afraid to face them. For I had emerged from the darkness stronger and wiser than before, ready to embrace the light that shone within me and illuminate the world with its brilliance. And as I looked towards the future, I did so with a sense of optimism and determination, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them with courage and grace. As time passed, the events that had once consumed my every waking thought began to fade into distant memory. Yet, despite the passage of time, the lessons I had learned and the experiences I had endured remained etched into the fabric of my being, serving as a constant reminder of the strength that lay within me. With each passing day, I found myself growing more comfortable in my skin and more confident in my ability to navigate the complexities of life. The shadows that had once loomed large in my mind now seemed like nothing more than distant echoes of a past long gone. But even as I moved forward, a part of me couldn't help but wonder what had become of the house, the elderly woman, and the children who had haunted my dreams. Had they simply been figments of my imagination, or were they something more, something that defied explanation? Driven by a need for closure, I embarked on a journey to uncover the truth, a journey that would take me back to the place where it had all begun. As I stood before the house once more, I felt a sense of unease wash over me, as if the very walls themselves were whispering secrets that I was not meant to hear. Taking a deep breath, I pushed open the door and stepped inside, the air heavy with the weight of untold stories. But instead of the darkness that had once filled every corner, I found myself bathed in the warm glow of sunlight streaming through the windows. As I explored the house, I discovered clues that shed light on its mysterious past, a past filled with tragedy and loss, but also with moments of love and laughter. As I pieced together the fragments of the puzzle, I began to understand the true nature of the shadows that had haunted me for so long. They were not monsters lurking in the dark, but echoes of lives once lived, of memories cherished. And though they may have caused me pain and fear, they were also a part of me, a part of my journey towards healing and redemption. With a sense of closure that I had never thought possible, I bid farewell to the house and the ghosts of its past, knowing that they would always hold a place in my heart. And as I walked away, I did so with a newfound sense of peace, ready to embrace whatever the future held in store. For I had faced my demons and emerged victorious, stronger, and more resilient than I had ever thought possible. And though the road ahead may be long and fraught with challenges, I knew that I would face it with courage. But amidst the splendor of the past, there lurked shadows of darkness, whispers of malevolent forces that sought to thwart my quest for knowledge. Ancient curses and forbidden rituals threatened to ensnare me in their grasp, testing the limits of my courage and resolve. Yet even in the face of such peril, I refused to waver. With each challenge I faced, I grew stronger and more determined to uncover the truth that lay hidden beneath the sands of time. As I delved deeper into the mysteries that surrounded me, I found myself drawn ever closer to the heart of the enigma that had captivated my imagination. But the journey was not without its sacrifices. Along the way, I encountered allies and adversaries alike, each with their motivations and agendas. Betrayal and treachery lurked around every corner, threatening to derail my quest and cast me into the abyss of despair. Yet even in the darkest moments, there were glimmers of hope, beacons of light that pierced the darkness and illuminated the path ahead. Through perseverance and determination, I forged alliances with unlikely allies, overcoming differences and uniting in pursuit of a common goal. And as I journeyed onwards, I found myself confronted by questions that defied easy answers. What truths lay hidden within the depths of the universe? What secrets had been lost to the sands of time, waiting to be rediscovered by those brave enough to seek them out? With each passing day, I grew more determined to unravel the mysteries that lay before me, driven by a thirst for knowledge that burned brighter with each discovery. And as I stood on the precipice of the unknown, I knew that the journey was far from over, that the greatest truths were yet to be revealed. The pursuit of knowledge was not just a quest, it was a calling, a journey that would shape the very fabric of my existence and redefine the boundaries of what was possible. As I ventured forth into the unknown, I did so with a heart full of hope and a mind open to the infinite possibilities that awaited me. As I continued my quest for truth, I found myself drawn deeper into the mysteries that surrounded me. Each artifact unearthed, each ancient text deciphered, brought me closer to unlocking the secrets that had eluded mankind for centuries. But amidst the excitement of discovery, there lingered a sense of unease, a feeling that there was something greater at play, something beyond the scope of human understanding. And as I delved deeper into the unknown, I found myself confronted by questions that defied easy answers. What was the true nature of the universe? What forces governed the cosmos, shaping the very fabric of reality itself? And most importantly, what role did I play in this grand tapestry of existence? With each passing day, I found myself consumed by these questions, my mind racing with possibilities and conjectures. But no matter how hard I tried, I could not shake the feeling that the answers lay just beyond my grasp, tantalizingly close yet maddeningly elusive. Frustrated and desperate for clarity, I sought solace in the wisdom of the ancients, turning to the teachings of sages and mystics who had long ago plumbed the depths of the human soul. As I immersed myself in their words, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a calmness that transcended the chaos of the world around me. For in their teachings I found a glimmer of understanding, a flicker of insight that illuminated the path ahead. As I embraced their wisdom, I began to see the world in a new light, stripped of the illusions that had clouded my vision for so long. But even as I found solace in the words of the ancients, I knew that true enlightenment could only come from within, from a profound understanding of the self. And so, I embarked on a journey of introspection, seeking to unravel the mysteries of my existence and unlock the potential that lay dormant within me. With each meditation and reflection, I peeled back the layers of my consciousness, delving into the depths of my soul in search of truth and meaning. As I confronted my fears and insecurities, I felt a profound sense of liberation wash over me, a freedom born of self-awareness and acceptance. But the journey was far from easy, and there were moments of doubt and despair along the way. Yet, even in the darkest moments, I refused to lose faith in myself, drawing strength from the knowledge that I was not alone, that the universe itself was guiding me toward a greater understanding. And then, in a moment of clarity that seemed to transcend time and space, it all became clear. The answers I had been searching for were not to be found in the external world, but within myself, in the depths of my consciousness. For I was not just a mere observer of the universe, but an active participant, a co-creator of reality itself. As I embraced this newfound understanding, I felt a sense of empowerment wash over me, a realization that I held the power to shape my destiny and forge my path in life. With this epiphany, I embarked on a new chapter of my journey, a journey guided not by the pursuit of external knowledge, but by the quest for inner truth and enlightenment. As I ventured forth into the unknown, I did so with a heart full of hope and a mind open to the infinite possibilities that awaited me. Armed with the profound realization of my power and purpose, I embarked on a journey of transformation, a journey that would lead me to the very pinnacle of existence itself. With each step forward, I felt the weight of the universe upon my shoulders, a burden and a blessing in equal measure. As I delved deeper into the mysteries of the self, I found myself confronted by the shadows of doubt and uncertainty. But with each challenge I faced, I emerged stronger and more resilient than before, a testament to the indomitable spirit that burned within me. Yet, even as I forged ahead on my quest for enlightenment, I could not escape the echoes of the past, memories of pain and loss that lingered just beneath the surface of my consciousness. And so, I turned inward, confronting the demons that had haunted me for so long and finding redemption in their embrace. With each moment of introspection, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a tranquility that transcended the chaos of the world around me. As I embraced the light that shone within, I felt myself ascending to new heights of consciousness, untethered by the limitations of the physical realm. But the journey was far from over, and the trials that lay ahead would test the very limits of my endurance. As I ventured forth into the unknown, I encountered beings of immense power and wisdom, ancient guardians of the cosmic order who watched over the universe with a gaze as old as time itself. With their guidance, I traversed the astral planes, exploring realms of existence beyond the comprehension of mortal minds. As I communed with the cosmic forces that govern the cosmos, I felt a sense of connection to something greater than myself, a divine spark that burned bright within me, illuminating the path ahead. But even as I soared to ever greater heights, I remained grounded in the knowledge that true enlightenment could only come from within, from a deep and abiding connection to the essence of my being. And so I continued my journey of self-discovery, seeking to unlock the full potential of my consciousness and ascend to the highest realms of existence. With each passing day, I felt the boundaries of my perception expand, my awareness stretching out to encompass the vastness of the cosmos. As I reached out toward the infinite expanse of the universe, I felt a sense of unity with all creation, and oneness that transcended the boundaries of time and space. And then, in a moment of sublime clarity, I ascended to the very apex of existence, a being of pure light and consciousness, free from the shackles of the mortal world. In that transcendent state, I saw the universe as it truly was, a symphony of light and sound, a dance of energy and vibration that pulsed with the rhythm of creation itself. With a heart full of gratitude and a mind filled with wonder, I gazed out upon the cosmos, knowing that I had become one with the very fabric of reality. And as I drifted among the stars, I knew that my journey was far from over, that the mysteries of the universe were infinite, and that there was still so much left to discover. But for now, I basked in the brilliance of my existence, a beacon of light in the darkness of the cosmos, a testament to the boundless potential of the human spirit. As I faded into the infinite expanse of the cosmos, I did so with a sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that I had achieved true enlightenment and ascended to the highest realms of existence. As I basked in the sublime ecstasy of my ascension, a whisper echoed through the cosmos, a gentle reminder of the world I had left behind, of the humanity I had once known. With a sense of duty weighing upon my soul, I turned my gaze back towards the mortal realm, my heart heavy with the knowledge of all that had transpired. With each passing moment, the memories of my mortal existence flooded back, a torrent of emotions and experiences that threatened to overwhelm me. As I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this point, I felt a deep longing stir within me, a longing to return to the world of flesh and blood, to embrace the joys and sorrows of human existence once more. But as I prepared to make the journey back to Earth, I knew that I could not simply pick up where I had left off, for I had been forever changed by my experiences, transformed by the knowledge and wisdom I had gained on my journey of enlightenment. And so, with a heavy heart and a sense of purpose burning bright within me, I descended from the heavens, my essence merging with the fabric of reality as I made my way back to the mortal realm. With each passing moment, I felt the pull of gravity grow stronger, my form coalescing into that of a human once more. As I touched down upon the earth once more, I found myself surrounded by the sights and sounds of the world I had once called home. But even as I reacquainted myself with the familiar sights and sounds, I knew that I was no longer the same person I had been before. With each step I took, I felt the weight of my newfound wisdom pressing down upon me, a reminder of the responsibilities that came with enlightenment. And as I sought to reintegrate myself into society, I found myself faced with a new set of challenges as I struggled to reconcile my transcendent experiences with the mundane realities of everyday life. But even amidst the chaos and confusion, there were moments of clarity, glimpses of the divine spark that burned within every soul. As I reached out to others, sharing the wisdom I had gained on my journey, I felt a sense of purpose stir within me, a calling to guide others on their path to enlightenment. With each passing day, I found myself drawn to those in need, offering solace and guidance to those who sought it. And as I watched them grow and evolve, I knew that my journey was far from over, that there were still many lessons left to learn and many souls left to touch. But for now, I reveled in the simple joys of human existence, cherishing each moment as if it were my last. And as I looked towards the future, I did so with a sense of optimism and determination, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them with courage and grace, secure in the knowledge that I was not alone. Returning to the mortal realm was like re-entering a familiar dream, one where the contours of reality were softened by the haze of memory. Yet beneath the veneer of familiarity, I sensed a profound shift in my perception, a clarity of purpose that had been honed by the trials of ascension. As I walked among the bustling streets and whispered alleyways of the city, I found myself drawn to the places where humanity's struggles were most palpable. From the depths of poverty to the heights of power, I witnessed the myriad ways in which the human experience unfolded, each story a thread in the tapestry of existence, each soul a beacon of light in the darkness. But amidst the chaos of everyday life, I found solace in the simple acts of kindness and compassion that permeated the fabric of society. From the smile of a stranger to the helping hand of a friend, I witnessed the transformative power of love, a force that bound us together in ways that transcended the limitations of the physical world. Yet, even as I reveled in the beauty of human connection, I could not shake the nagging sense of urgency that gnawed at the edges of my consciousness. For I knew that my journey was far from over, that there were still many lessons left to learn, and many souls left to touch. And so, with the sense of purpose burning bright within me, I set out to share the wisdom I had gained on my journey of enlightenment. From the halls of academia to the humble abodes of the downtrodden, I sought to impart the lessons of the cosmos to all who would listen. But the path to enlightenment was not an easy one, and I encountered many obstacles along the way. From skepticism to outright hostility, I faced resistance at every turn, as others sought to cling to their preconceived notions of reality. Yet, even in the face of adversity, I refused to waver. With each challenge I faced, I drew upon the strength of my convictions, knowing that the truth would always prevail in the end. As I continued my mission to spread enlightenment, I found myself surrounded by a community of kindred spirits, souls who, like me, had glimpsed the transcendent truths that lay beyond the veil of illusion. Together we formed a fellowship of seekers, united in our quest for knowledge and understanding. With each passing day, our numbers grew as more and more souls were drawn to the light of truth that we offered. And as our influence spread, I felt a sense of fulfillment wash over me, a validation of the importance of our mission, and a reaffirmation of the power of the human spirit. But amidst the joy of our newfound community, there were moments of doubt, moments when the weight of the world threatened to crush me beneath its burden. In those moments, I turned to the wisdom of the ancients, drawing strength from the teachings that had guided me on my journey. And in their words, I found solace, a reminder that the trials we faced were but stepping stones on the path to enlightenment, and that true wisdom could only be attained through perseverance and dedication. And so, with renewed determination, I pressed on, knowing that the journey was far from over, that there were still many mysteries left to unravel, and many souls left to uplift. The pursuit of enlightenment was not just a quest, it was a calling, a journey that would shape the very course of human history. And as I looked towards the future, I did so with a sense of optimism and hope, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would face them with courage and grace, secure in the knowledge that I was not alone. For I was but one among many, a beacon of light in the darkness, guiding others towards the truth that lay within. As I delved deeper into the mysteries of the universe, I found myself drawn to the concept of cosmic harmony, a symphony of existence in which all beings played their part. It was a realization that came to me gradually, like the slow unfolding of a flower in the first light of dawn. In my quest for enlightenment, I had explored the furthest reaches of consciousness, journeying through realms of existence beyond the confines of the physical world. I had communed with cosmic entities and witnessed the interconnectedness of all things firsthand, and in those transcendent moments I had glimpsed the underlying harmony that permeated the fabric of reality. But it was not until I returned to the mortal realm that I truly began to understand the profound implications of cosmic harmony. As I walked among the bustling streets and whispered alleyways of the city, I saw the world with new eyes. A world in which every soul was a note in the cosmic symphony, contributing to the harmonious vibrations that echoed throughout the cosmos. It was a revelation that filled me with a sense of awe and wonder, a recognition of the beauty and complexity of existence. As I immersed myself in the rhythms of the universe, I felt a deep sense of peace wash over me, like the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. But amidst the beauty of the cosmic symphony, I also saw the discordant notes that threatened to disrupt the harmony of the whole. From the scars of war to the cries of the oppressed, I witnessed the suffering of humanity and felt the weight of its collective pain. And yet, even in the darkest moments, I found glimmers of hope, a recognition that the power to create change lay within every one of us. It was a realization that filled me with a renewed sense of purpose, driving me to seek out ways to restore balance and harmony to the world. Through acts of compassion and kindness, I sought to heal the wounds of the planet and uplift the souls of all who inhabited it. I worked to cultivate love and understanding in the hearts of humanity, knowing that it was only through unity and cooperation that we could truly create a world of peace and harmony. And as I looked towards the future, I did so with a sense of optimism and determination, knowing that the journey towards cosmic harmony would continue for eternity. For in the end, it was not the destination that mattered, but the journey itself, the ongoing quest to align ourselves with the rhythms of the cosmos and become one with the divine symphony of existence.